So a lot of people overlook Chromebooks, or they just talk junk about them. They say they're terrible. Oh, they're just for schools. They're not very good for your average person. Well, I beg to differ. And here on Android Digest, I do review my fair share of Chromebooks. And right here in my hands, I do have the Lenovo Flex 3i, and this is a 12.2-inch Chromebook that is out there with a 360-degree hinge. So is this a device worth buying? Should you even consider a Chromebook at all? Especially when you could find them for such a good price, like under $300 as of today. Well, I'm gonna let you know what I think of this Chromebook right now in my full review. So with all that being said, let's get right into it, and let's talk about the Lenovo Flex 3i Chromebook. So I was pretty interested in this Chromebook because a lot of devices, especially a lot of 2-in-1 laptops, they're really large, like they're 13, 14, 15 inches. And whenever you do flip the screen around to try to use it like a tablet, often it's a little too big and it can be a little bit cumbersome. So to see a thin and light, compact laptop at 12.2 inches in the screen size, that is something that I was really interested in, because as a tablet, it's going to be a lot more usable than a larger device. And I was also interested in this device because it does have a 1080p display. And a lot of devices out there, a lot of Chromebooks, or even a lot of laptops under $400, a lot of them have basic displays that are 720p that don't look too good. And a lot of times whenever the screen is smaller, like 12 inches, a lot of times people think they can get away with that. Well, this Flex 3i, it's got a gorgeous 1080p display, and I was shocked at how good this display really looked whenever I was using it. It also is nice and compact. It's got a lot going for it, so that's why I'm just so excited to talk about it. So if we look first off at the design of this Chromebook, you are going to see on this side, this is the right side of the Chromebook, you're going to see your power button, your up and down and your volume, a USB-A port, and you're also going to see an HDMI port. A lot of Chromebooks do not have that. A lot of them are going to just only have USB-C ports. So it's really cool to have this port right here. However, the downside is it only has one USB-C port to charge from. So some Chromebooks, they do have a USB-C port on both sides, and it's sort of handy because no matter where you're at, you could plug in and charge from either side. But this Chromebook, it has HDMI, which is a nice bonus. But if you go to the left side, that's where your USB-C port will be. It does also have another USB-A port. It has a headphone jack and an SD card slot. Now, whenever you're dealing with a Chromebook around this price, you are going to notice a little bit of a plastic build. To get any form of aluminum in your Chromebook, you're probably gonna have to spend $400, $500, $600, normally around $500 or $600. So yes, we do have a plastic build, but it does feel pretty rigid. It's not the lightest laptop in the world for a 12-inch device. You might expect it to be a little bit lighter, but at the same time, I do think it's actually pretty durable. I really like the color, and on the bottom of the device, it's just a nice normal Chromebook. It actually feels nice and premium overall, but you are going to see, of course, some plastic in the build. Now, whenever you open up the device, you are going to notice some of the downsides. And when I say downsides, I mean compared to higher end Chromebooks. This is going to be very nice compared to those lower end Chromebooks, but you are going to get a keyboard that it feels a little mushy to type on. It's not the best in the world, but it's still a good keyboard. You get a good or a decent touchpad. So yes, you are going to feel a little bit of plastic on the keys. You're going to feel a little bit of a mushy typing experience, and the touchpad works. It works just fine. I have no issues at all with the touchpad or with the keyboard. The keys are plenty big enough for me to have a good typing experience, and I was able to get comfortable working on this no problem. But the thing that really sets this device apart, I think, over other devices is that you get a really cool 1080p display, you get pretty good performance for the money, and you also get this unique form factor where you can actually bring back the screen. We also have to remember that Chromebooks are getting a lot of updates. They're talking about 10 years of updates from whenever the device released originally. That is a very long time. So this device, as of today, is going to get updates until June of 2033. So that is massive massive. We're talking about 9+ more years of updates for this device. So that is very substantial if you're out there looking for a device, you want long-term support, because a lot of people don't realize right now that Chromebooks do run Android apps. And that's what makes this device so compelling, because a lot of people want a laptop when they need it. And this laptop experience is actually pretty good. You're going to be able to pull up whatever you need, no problem. You could pull up 2, 3, or even 4 apps at the same time. And because it is a Chromebook, because it's a very light operating system, you're going to be able to do that with ease. It has an Intel N100 processor, and that is honestly fast enough for most of the things you're going to do on a Chromebook. It does have 4 GB of RAM in it, but that is again enough for doing your basic tasks. If you're opening up your web browser, if you're going to ESPN, if you're checking out the news, you're scrolling around, maybe going back and forth between a few things, you're gonna be just fine. It's only when you open up about like 5, 6, 7, 8 apps at the same time, a web browser with YouTube, with something else, whenever you do get a little more intense and have more things going, it might slow down a little bit and take a second to reload something, or maybe a second to transition there. So sure, there are some slowdowns you might experience if you do a little bit too much. But if you are someone that's really just going to go on the web and do 1 or 2 things, you're going to be able to fly through it no problem, and you're going to be able to use this like a tablet. And that is a huge benefit, because you could download your Android apps, you could get all that going, and for under $300, you're going to get a 1080p screen, you're going to get really good battery life, you're going to get an HDMI port here, which a lot of tablets under $300 cannot connect to a monitor. But this will be able to connect to a monitor, so you'll be able to get more productivity work done at your job. And you can also, on top of that, use this as a tablet whenever you're just watching content. You could flip around the screen, and that is very, very good. Like, it is pretty fast whenever you are going from app to app. Again, it's only when you have too much going on at the same time that it does get a little bit bogged down. But I did have other Chromebooks around, I had some other laptops around, and I admittedly found myself picking up this device more and more. Because of the unique size of it, because it is a little bit smaller, I really liked using it as a tablet. And with my HP Chromebook, I have an HP Chromebook 360, the 14C. It does have a 14-inch screen, which is great for actually using it on my lap. But whenever I wanted to actually use it as a tablet, it is a little bit large. And this smaller form factor, it was really, really cool to be able to use it as a tablet. And I really miss having those smaller laptops, those smaller detachable devices, 10, 11, 12-inch devices. We've been getting away from that in the laptop space. So when you're getting all of that, I have to say, very, very good screen, very good performance for the money. But you have to deal with some of the things that you're going to find in a laptop around this price. So if you are looking under $300, again, this device right now is selling for $280 as of the making of this video. Chromebooks go very up and down as far as sales, so you never know where you're going to find it. But even at $350 or under, a lot of devices, Chromebooks or laptops, they are going to be made of plastic. That's just normal. You are going to have a not perfect typing experience on a lot of those. Like, it is a good typing experience, but it is just a little bit mushy on the keys. You're not going to get a premium keyboard from a budget Chromebook. But to get a nice tablet experience and a really nice screen, decent performance, 4 gigs of RAM, everything is good, 10 years of updates, all of that is really nice to see in this Chromebook. So I get it's a mid-level keyboard experience, it's a mid-level touchpad experience, but a lot of the other things you get are very, very nice to see. Now, if you are someone who does push your Chromebook, again, you are someone who has 6, 7, 8 tabs open at all times, you really like to get very, very productive, well, then you might actually get a little bogged down here, and you might want to upgrade to a Chromebook around $400, like the Flex 5i. That's going to have a little bit more power with the i3 processor, it's going to have a little more RAM, and you might have a better experience on it. But if you're only going to have 2 or 3 browser windows open at the same time, maybe you're going to do some work on a spreadsheet while looking at something else, maybe you're going to have music on in the background, or maybe you're going to check out the news and just go between articles, you are going to see that this device is going to be very, very good for that. Now, the other thing Chrome OS offers that a lot of people don't realize, not only does it get those 10 years of updates, but it also has a phone hub. And if you have an Android phone, you could share your hotspot with this device, you You could share your notifications to your Chromebook. So there's a lot of unique things you could do. You could even locate your phone, and you could even use your phone as its own fingerprint sensor in a way, so you don't have to type in your password every time. So that is another way to add some security to your life while also making your life easier. Chromebooks and Android phones, they work well together. So if you aren't someone who needs a lot of Windows programs, like this can run Microsoft Word in the web, it can use those type of things, but you do have to have an Office 365 subscription for a lot of those things with Microsoft Office. So if you're someone who needs Windows programs, obviously this device is not for you. It cannot run Windows games. It can't do all that. But if you are someone who needs a laptop that's really just going to use the web, Chromebooks are a lot more secure from viruses than most operating systems. Like, you're going to get a lot of security here. You're going to get a lot of updates. And because the operating system is so simplistic, you're going to get a lot of speed, even if the processor isn't super fast. So if you're someone who needs a computer for the basics, this is terrific. If you want a computer for basics and a tablet as well, this is going to be able to have both roles and do a good job. It's not the best with gaming. If you are someone who does game on something like Asphalt 9, for example, a game like that, remember, Android apps are actually meant for Android tablets, and they're really being customized in a way to work with Chromebooks. So a lot of apps, they're not going to be able to use the keyboard if you're looking at a game, but there are some games like Asphalt 9 that can actually use your Chromebook keyboard. But games that do demand higher performance from Android, they're not going to run on this if they're very high end. You might experience some minor crashes that can happen from time to time, but honestly, if you just turn down the graphics in most games, you're going to be just fine. And a lot of games like Angry Birds, for example, not all games are super demanding. So this isn't a Chromebook or a tablet for a high-end gamer, or for someone who really just wants to run all these Windows programs. But if you just really need to use a web browser and do a lot of basic stuff, if you really just want to use a tablet for the basics, this is going to do a really good job. It's not the best typing experience in the world. Yes, you do have some plastic in the build here, but overall, you're going to get a fairly good experience that most people will enjoy. You're going to get a smaller laptop, a smaller Chromebook, with a cool tablet form factor thing as you flip around the screen. So you don't get a backlit keyboard. There are some minor things I don't like. There are some minor nitpicks, but overall, I'm very impressed with this. I think it's really good for those of you who are okay with those minor compromises. If you're okay with some middling features, if you're okay with an average build quality, and in exchange, you're going to get a really cool, versatile device with some decent utility for your life. Hopefully this has helped you out. Please give me a like and give me a sub. That would mean a lot to my channel. And don't forget to check out those affiliate links in the description if you get a little bit of time. Another thing you could do is check out some other videos. I'm going to have more reviews on Chromebooks in the future, but I also talk a lot about Android tablets and a lot of the Android phones, even budget phones that are out there. So check out some of my other videos, and no matter what device you decide to buy, I hope you enjoy it to its fullest.